Alright, y'all are just gonna have to ignore the occasional sounds of me dying while I play because I really want to record and I refuse to let my cough get the better of me. So let's just do it. Oh, it's so pretty already. God, my voice sounds horrible. Usually bustling streets are not avoiding life being fresh. She's so pretty. I'm okay. I'm okay. God, if Ritha's smooth voice breaks, whispering the wind through the rafters as she turns to you, her voice from the why is she so pretty? What a lovely night to have a curse, and it seems I'm cursed with walking through this infantile maze. She appears to be very bored, despite the eerie surroundings. She purses her lips and sighs, her shoulders relaxing ever so slightly. But if it will please Sign, then I will. It's fine. This is fine. This is fine. It's fine. Let him be gay for a bit. She doesn't sound convinced. To your surprise, if Rita extends her hand out to you, well, this is an obvious choice. You waste no time in accepting the gesture and intertwine your fingers with hers. I should mention, I haven't played this yet. I hadn't even downloaded it until like 20 minutes ago because I knew if I did, that I would play it. So I didn't. So I haven't seen anything. Despite her delicate looks, you could feel the strength in her grip as she leads you through the winding streets of the marketplace. Without another word, she begins to lead you through the winding streets of the marketplace. The click, click, click of Frita's heels echo off the walls. Your body is on high alert, eyes darting back and forth as you search your surroundings. Long shadows creep up the monochrome walls, illuminated by the enchanted red lanterns that decorate the city. You hear sounds of ghoulish laughter in the distance. Suddenly, a sharp sound erupts from behind you, and you turn as a spray of black feathers drifts down in front of you. You instinctively tighten your grip on Frita's hand. She gives you a side glance, eyes dancing with mischief. You get the sense that she is starting to thoroughly enjoy this. If scoffs, turning quickly on her heel and picking up her pace. She has no time to get scared. She has far more important things to do than get scared. You catch up to her only to find out that your path out of the marketplace has been obscured by a barricade of boxes and carts. You're stuck in here, bitch. The harsh sound of a screech draws your attention towards the alleyway, which is masked in the thick layer of shadows. Only one way to go now. Ifrita remains silent, taking the lead into the dark alleyway. You notice the billowing of smoke wafting out from the darkness, obscuring your vision even more. You hear the ruffle of feathers again, followed by a shrill and bone-chilling call as a massive beaked figure emerges from the darkness. It advances towards you with black feathers outstretched, beady avian eyes glaring right through you. The creature lurches forward, ready to pounce upon you, and his wings spread out, revealing an intimidating display of sharp obsidian feathers. Stand my ground, bitch. Get closer, I'm gonna punch you. Oh god damn it, it's just Birdman. Did he paint his mask? Just get a can of spray paint. Hold on. Shh. Perfect. Cosplay at its finest. You sidestep Alibaba and give him a grin. Maybe that scare would have worked on you if you hadn't helped him with it. Ah, he's so pretty too. God, my throat is already killing me. I'm gonna die. Still, his costume is impressive. You hear a burst of laughter erupt from behind you. Alibaba's grin falters and he stands defeated. Ifrita giggles at the costume Loto. Here I am. This is Alibaba. Here I am trying to be scary and I'm getting laughed at. Oh, I love this. Ifrita shoos at Alibaba until he steps back into the light at the end of the alleyway, allowing you a better look at his costume. Judging by the sloppy stitching and random materials he used, Alibaba most certainly created it all by himself. And you know what? We're proud of him for that. What are you supposed Yeah, what are you supposed to be? Remember? Pun's so bad they're gonna kill me. Murder of crows. Ha! He points towards the arrow in his chest, and the array of feathers covering his black clothing, hoping you get the joke. Oh, I got the joke! Ifrita wipes at a tear of laughter, and catches her breath before she speaks. My heart pities the poor crow that was subjected to your craft project. Rita turns to you, your face full of shout. Yay! I love her. If the Spy Master is going to fail so terribly, I can't wait to see what the other champions have come up with. What? I knew I didn't have a chance of scaring you. I was trying to make a Milwaukee scream. Ha! Nice try. I suppose Milwaukee is easily frightened by haphazard costumes and tight pants. Shall we? You nod and continue through the labyrinth of streets, the sound of Alibaba's boots hitting the rafters fading into the distance. The shadowy world of the Onyx Quarter finally gives way to the wide streets of the Bronze Quarter. Bonds Quarter. James Bond's quarters. You can hear muffled laughter and the clinking of glasses in a nearby tavern, the only indication of life in the otherwise eerie quiet. The wind picks up, rustling up leaves and shaking wind chimes. You quicken your pace, looking into the deep alleyways for anyone who might jump out at you. You realize Ifrita is no longer following you. You turn back and retrace your steps, glancing down dark streets to try and locate her. The distinctive click, click, click of her heels leads you back to her. You find her standing before a wide rampart leading up through the city. It seems to be a defensive wall that has fallen into neglect. Ifrita kicks a few loose stones out of the way. This rampart looks like it has been in disuse for many years. Someone disturbed it to draw your attention to it. Ifrita climbs onto the platform at the rampart, and you follow close behind. The defensive wall rises a dozen feet above the city, watching over the quarters like a forgotten sentinel. I'm curious. Yeah. Ifrita is silent. For a moment, you think she did not hear your question. But after a long pause, she speaks. This wall was built long ago to protect the inner city from invaders. But when the humans came, we quickly realized that mere walls would not stop them. I can read. Don't worry, I got this. You wait for her to continue, but realize that she has no plans to elaborate. You don't think you can question her again. At the distance of the Silver Quarter, you catch a glimpse of black feathers ducking behind a building. The rampart descends, leading you back into the streets. Something is wrong. The streets before you shift even as you watch them, changing shapes and pathways with wavering magic. You remember what this is. San wasn't joking when he said he would be creating a maze. A wail rips through the silence and overwhelms your ears, reverberating off the walls before finally fading away. The hairs on the back of your neck stand on end. Gods, what was that? Before you can even consider protesting, Ifrita is off without a second glance at you. I got things to do! The twisting, morphing streets of the maze seem to swallow her up. You sigh, realizing that you must traverse the illusory... I got this. No, I don't. The maze yourself to find her once again. You start to make out patterns in the shifting streets, making a mental map of dead ends and legitimate paths. Ooh, you come to an intersection that stands still despite the warping of the streets on either side. The sound of heavy footfalls comes from the alley to your right. To your left, you catch a glimpse of white in the wind. Those footsteps bear past lead. You turn into the alley. In the distance, a shadow races past. You hear a low sound coming from behind you, like the whistling of the wind through the trees. But there are no trees here. You turn, only to be greeted with nothingness. You sigh and walk back, wondering if a flash of color had been another one of Zahn's illusions. A figure jumps out from behind the wall as you approach, hands raised high. Boo. You recognize the mismatched eyes shining through the tiny holes cut into the sheet and muffle a laugh. You hear Fritta's laughter behind you, and you turn to see she's appeared behind you to laugh at Noor. Oh, Noor, this costume wouldn't even scare a child. What were you thinking of, BB? You watch Noor shift beneath her costume in embarrassment. It's cute! Don't! I like to think someone ripped the poor sheet, and she's like, I needed to use this. Excuse me. Oh, my apologies, Empress, but I was given very little time. Molly and Alibaba were too busy making their own costumes, and, well, Ifrita gives her a pitying pat on the shoulder. Don't worry too much, Nora. I'm not easily frightened, but perhaps Avolki was scared? Deadpan. I was terrified. I nearly fell over because I was so scared. Although that wasn't the case at all, you wanted to give Nora a little hope. Nora's eyes bright. Yay! I love her. I'm glad you were scared by my costume, Avolki, but I won't be scaring anyone else anytime soon. This life is more suited to Alibaba. He didn't even do a good job, though. Jeez, you did better. You recall the strange occurrences before this embodied wailing the shadows of the sounds of pacing footsteps. Although you did manage to pull off the atmosphere, how did you do that, being in two places at once, and that wail from earlier? How did you do that? I'm not sure what you mean. Even if I wanted to do such a thing, this maze is confusing. If it was a stroke of luck, I managed to find you and sneak up at all. You let out a humorless laugh. Nora shrugs, finding no need to defend herself. That sound, the unearthly hollow cry that still echoes in the back of your mind. Perhaps the general really hadn't been the one to make that sound. Oh, I have a theory, but if I say it, I'm gonna get kicked off of YouTube. The only solution to this mystery is to delve deeper into the maze. We're just going to keep going. Having the general around might provide some much needed protection if there is any real danger lurking within the maze. Will you tag along with us, Nora? The tips of your ears perk up from under the sheet. I thought you would never ask. Yay! Nora doesn't even spare a glance at the shifting labyrinth surrounding you, ready to accompany you without a second thought. Frankly, I don't feel safe wandering the streets alone tonight. Let's move. Let's go. Ah! Wrong button. We're okay. You come across many illusionary... I did it. Dead ends as you make your way through the labyrinth. It's okay. I'm just dying. On more than one occasion, you feel as though you're merely walking in circles. Any landmarks you find quickly get swept away. As you turn another corner, you run straight into another lost soul within Zahn's maze. The figure squeaks and rubs at their head. You knock the wind right out of them. The sound of their squeak had been very familiar. Anka? Anka! Yay! Oh, she's also so pretty. She's also so... Aww. I love it. Good evening, Kabuki. What are you doing here? I'm lost. Zahn had invited me to a party at the palace. I'm sure I've been there before, but I can't seem to find my way. Zahn has made the city into a maze for festivities. Oh, that sounds fun. I think I know some tricks to find my way through a maze, even a magical one. Would you like to accompany us, princess? Yes! No, shit! Now that I know this is a magical maze, I want to see if I can solve it on my own. Besides, it seems like someone in your party is eager to get a move on as well. She gestures behind you both, and you see Ifrita impatiently tapping her heel at you. She has places to be. Goodbye, Aboki and Nora. I'll see you both at the party tonight. As Anka walks away from your group, you glance back at her, wondering if the princess would be alright. You see Nora looking the same way as you. She closes her eyes and sighs. She'll be alright. Enough of this. At this rate, the party will be over by the time we make it out of here. Do you have any suggestions? Ifrita gives you a wry smirk. How much have you dabbled in divination magic? What I've read in books. You can only get so far with those old books. Allow me to teach you a simple clairvoyance technique. It will lead you to your desired path. The key to any divination is visualization and intent. I got this. You must first visualize the desired path within your mind, fueling it with your intent, and then cast your magic out into the maze. Feel within yourself the true path, and you will realize you knew it all along. I'm okay. You concentrate, closing your eyes and visualizing the maze. The various paths begin to materialize within your mind. You steel your intent to find the correct path and allow your magic to flow out of you. Slowly, the divination comes to you as your magic seeps into the area surrounding you. You feel the tendrils of your magic searching, like an extension of yourself spreading out to feel at the corners of the room. Your spell obscures the wrong choices, and the dead ends disappear within a dense fog. Ooh, magic happened. Your mind's eye senses the way forward with crystal clear intuition, and you know which way to go. The divination ends, and the vision fades away. The sensation of being watched is oppressive now, as if every eye in the city is on you at once. An unpleasant tingle runs down your spine as you lead the way through the labyrinth. You hear the distant sound of crumbling rocks behind you and pause in your tracks. You turn around. Ifrita has disappeared once again. You slowly make your way back down the street, searching for the Empress. She's like a dog. Just goes off and does her own thing. You catch a glimpse of Ifrita's familiar red hair within the darkness. She stands before a crack in the wall, the colors of her hair shifting as you watch her examine the entryway. You finally reach her, and when you do, you see her eyes light up like stars, wide and interested in whatever secrets this place may hide. Her voice is barely above a whisper, but you can sense the excitement in every word she utters. Let's go in. I don't mean to interrupt, but that does not seem like a good choice. Ifrita waves her off, rolling her eyes. Bitch, I got this. I want to go. Okay, she wants to go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You take a moment to gaze down into the tunnel, your eyes slowly adjusting to the darkness, yet all you see are narrow walls leading deep underground. Well, we don't have all night. You gather your courage and squeeze past the crevice. Ifrita falls close behind, excitement practically sparking off her. She snaps her fingers, conjuring a flame to illuminate the way. Nora isn't as keen, looking over her shoulder, on edge from every sound reverberating through the tunnels. The air around you grows cold and damp the further down you travel. A foul, dank scent permeates the air. The tunnel widens and turns sharply. The walls are inscribed with an ancient form of I got this? No? I got this. Devamandian? Yell at me if I did that wrong. And lost engravings depict ceremonial rituals and embalming processes. A low disembodied groaning fills the tunnel, reverberating off the walls before finally fading further into the darkness. Goosebumps form on your skin, the hairs on the back of your neck standing on end. I'm okay? No, I'm not. You come to a massive door, almost like an entrance to a cathedral. The Imperial City holds many secrets and a history spanning generations. Where the fuck are we? What is it? Or, more appropriately, where the fuck are we? Your voice bounces off the walls, announcing your presence to whoever made that ghostly wailing sound. Once again, I know we're just gonna move on. Ifrita presses her hand against the door, her long nails trailing across the faded engravings. She is silent for a time, as if deep in thought, before responding. We are in the necropolis. These are the royal catacombs. You had heard of the catacombs in hushed whispers during your time spent within the court. From your shopping, you gather the catacombs are under the city, spanning far and wide, becoming an inordinate labyrinth of bones and secrets. You know Zahn personally oversees the upkeep, I got it, of the catacombs. Is this a part of his maze? Ifrita pushes the door open, which groans and creaks from centuries of neglect until finally opening. Oh, so pretty. Eventually, you make your way through the winding tunnels, entering into a large room with a tall tall geometric ceiling and spiraling stairwells. Immense columns carved from the natural limestone of the cavern hold up the foundation of the city above you. The cavern is illuminated only by the sparse candles placed across altars, railings, and tables. An inscription on a door to your left reads, shit. It reads that. It reads shit. It reads fuck you specifically. It reads shut up. I got it. Hold up. Oswarium? Oswarium? Oswarium. It says fuck you. You can sense something wrong, and you aren't intent on delving any deeper, but all signs seem to be directing you there. Heavy footfalls sound above you, louder than any person could muster. Soot and dust fall from the ceiling, settling on your costume. A blood-curdling cry rips through the necropolis, originating from the depths of the fuck you. The cries crack, morphing into a sinister laugh. Let me guess, we're going towards the horrible laughing sound. I don't see any other pathways out of here. I don't think we have a choice. I'm okay. Falls unnaturally silent, her lips pursed and brow furrowed in contemplation. As you approach, the crypt doors slowly creak open by an invisible force. The laughing abruptly stops. Inside the fuck you, rows upon rows of mausoleums and sarcophagi are tucked away within the walls. Everything is meticulously engraved and surprisingly pristine. Urns and chests full of the departed's belongings nestle beside the coffin, though you don't dare touch them. The reward for such disrespect would be a generational curse. You arrive in a circular room, an inner sanctum of sorts. Arcane torches cast a melancholic warm haze over the walls. You find yourself encircled by giant black sarcophagi, engraved with tales of the departed's life, their accomplishments, their defeats, the legacy they left behind. Ifrita runs her hand over one of the coffins, brushing away the dust. She gazes down at the inscriptions, a spark of watery familiarity within her eyes. As you watch her, flashes of unfamiliar memories rush through your mind, showing you a life you've never lived. You feel the sting of betrayal, and then you taste blood. The vision fades as quickly as it came to you. You touch your nose where scarlet blood is beaded, dripping into your palm. Overwhelming dread washes over you. The door behind you slams shut, shaking the foundations. An inhuman roar reverberates through your ears. Then, heavy footfalls racing through the tunnel straight towards you. Run! Toss the blanket! Run! You charge up the spiraling stairs. Ifrita whipping past you, nor brings up the rear, sword in hand. When you reach the top of the stairs, you realize the only way forward is a narrow door. You reach for the door handle, yanking at it, but it's locked. You're trapped. Nora pulls you aside and swings her sword at the wooden door, but despite the obvious strength in her blow, because she's strong as fuck, boy, the door does not bear a single mark. It's stronger as fuck, boy. Oh shit, she mad. Oh shit! Different to cast as a fireball in the darkness below. Whatever hides within it screams in pain, yet its pursuit does not slow. The footfalls grow closer, slamming their way up the staircase. Closer, closer, until it's maddeningly loud. You take one last glance down the stairway and immediately wish you hadn't. A skeletal face wrapped in rotting linen stares back at you with hollow eyes and a gaping, fanged maw. Rot and sinew hang from its exposed bone, and a spirit-crushing howl erupts from the depths of its throat. Suddenly, the ground breaks open beneath the creature. A circle of consuming darkness surrounds it, and fire erupts from beneath. Black tendrils shoot out from the void and grab onto it, pulling it into the hellish depths. You look to Fritta, who closes the portal beneath the monster. Burn down that door and get us out of here. You turn to throw your fist through the door, a cascade of flame erupting from you and disintegrating the door completely. Once again, you are greeted by the monochrome lights of the city streets, open air filling your lungs. You run for a few more blocks until your muscles and lungs are screaming for you to stop. You stare at your hand, the flames extinguishing in the cool night air. That had been a shocking display of power that you hadn't experienced before. What the fuck was that? Okay, I just put fuck wherever I want in case you can't tell. You manage to find the words to express your shock through labored breaths. Necrophages? Necrophages? Nephrophagus. No, nephrophagus. Phagus. I don't know. Dead person. They are shades that manifest in places of death. They feed off the energy of death itself. The only thing that is effective against them is fire. Opening a portal to Mohan's realm is the easiest way to dispose of them, which is precisely what I did. I should go words on before it gets out of hand. There are a lot of people roaming the streets tonight, and I don't want any of them to get hurt. Fritta nods and sends Nora off, afterwards turning to you. Fritta reaches with her hand to wipe the blood from your face, the taste of blood still on your lips. Using magic will eventually take its toll on your body unless you learn to control it. Your magic is interwoven with all the cells in your body just as much with every slip of emotion. Always remember that. We're almost to the end, just a little bit further. The architecture takes a noticeable change as you ascend a flight of stairs leading higher into the golden quarter. A hollow whisper falls upon your ears. At first you assumed it to be the wind, but it grows insistent, unrelenting, calling your name. It seems you're the only one hearing and seeing whatever it is lurking within the maze. You can't ignore it. You turn to ask her about the voice, only to realize that she has disappeared once again. She's like a dog. You slow down your pace as if held by invisible weights. Your blood runs cold, every nerve in your body is bristling and alert, your muscles twitching, still deciding whether to fight, stand your ground, or run. You turn your head to look down the pathway. At the very end of the stairwell, a shadowy figure contorts and warps the world around it, sucking any warmth or light left within the maze. It takes shape, flickering between an indescribable mass of darkness and the silhouette of a person, staring you down with fiery, malignant eyes. Okay, it's the fucking fireball, fuck yeah. You aren't about to be intimidated by some obstinate illusion that refuses to leave you be. You draw flame into the palm of your hand. You hurl the fireball towards the mass of darkness. The contact sends sparks and shards of blackness scattering down the steps. A harrowing screech threatens to tear your eardrums, the mass reshaping and rushing towards you. Before you can react, the spirit flies through you, throwing you onto the ground before finally dissipating. You race up the steps, finally seeing a flash of red hair that you nearly fly towards. You cut to a stop in front of her, panting and gasping, looking behind you in a paranoid frenzy. Fritta can see the panic in you, as if you have seen a ghost. For real this time. For real? Tell me what happened. Her voice is firm. Fritta beckons you close and holds you, guiding you further.
Hold me. Yes, yes, please. Yes, hold me. Yes, please. I'd love that.
You recall the whole situation with Fritta, your heartbeat slowing, panic subsiding, only to be replaced by a dull dread resting in the back of your mind. So that explains the explosion. That may have been reckless, but you showed that thing you aren't to be trifled with. Silence falls over you as you mull over Fritta's words. The closer you get to the end of the maze, the more the streets make you feel claustrophobic. Stone walls closing in around you slowly, steadily. You follow the path of your divination until you come to a marketplace within the Golden Quarter. A pristine fountain stands in the center, illuminated with torches and flowing with murky black water, just like the water you've seen time and time again within your dreams. You gaze into the pool, your features reflected in the dark waters. You blink, and in the water's reflection, the same silhouette appears behind you. merely watching. You slash the water, breaking apart the reflection and trudging away in exasperated dismay. Shadows creep at the edges of your vision, skittering up and down. The walls, like millions of tiny beetles, they close in on you, ready to swallow you up. Suddenly, the torches around you flare to life, licking up the walls, sending the shadows fleeing. The plaza is filled with light and an arcane warmth. The torches sink to their original height, dancing to the magic, filling the streets as a familiar figure appears from the shadows. There he is! Oh, that's so pretty. Oh, why is she so pretty? That's just unfair. I'm okay. I'm fine. Valera, you certainly took the chance to prepare a fancy costume for the occasion, and I am happy for it. He is covered in beautiful golden red cloth, a trail of sparks and embers following behind him. His magic seems to have temporarily scared away the spirit, just as yours did. At least it responds somewhat to resistance. Did you see it, the spirit? Well, he gives you a confused look, mixed with slight concern. The spirit? I'm afraid I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. That confirms your theory. The spirit is only appearing to you, at least for the time, yet it reacts to outside forces. Your train of thought is cut off by Fretta stomping out an ember under your heel with a satisfying sizzle. You're just looking for any chance to be a complete and utter show-off, aren't you? Well, of course, I've only learned from the best. That's a fair point. Fretta snorts and rolls her eyes, yet you can sense she is amused by Vali's bluntness. I like your costume, but what exactly am I supposed to be? Yeah, what the fuck are you supposed to be? Fire elemental. Ah! Alibaba and I help. That's obvious. It's really obvious. You can tell. You can really tell. Did you know Alibaba has just a drawer of phoenix feathers? I don't even want to know how he managed to collect them. He's friends with all the birds. 'Cause he is one. Poor birds. Yeah, poor birds. While he waves his hands dismissively. Alibaba wouldn't willingly hurt a bird. I'm just confused as to how he managed to collect them without horribly burning himself. Oven mitts, perhaps? Who knows? I'm okay. Chilling breeze rushes through the streets, seeping all the warmth and joy from the interaction, and you swear you can feel a brush of sharp claws down your spine. The spirit is impatient, and you don't want to encourage its wrath by standing around. Oh, tea is good. We should move. I'll see you at the party, my fiery friend. Very well. Stay safe. Gehennam nods and turns on his heel. You watch as he walks towards Alibaba, who's appeared from the shadows behind you all. You wonder how long he's been there. The fuck, bitch? He's like Batman. The two of them run off to cause whatever mischief they had planned for the evening. At least no one is wandering the maze alone tonight. Except Honka. Ooh, after the arduous task of navigating the labyrinth, you find yourself at the base of the palace. Finally. The alabaster and golden walls are decorated with floating monochrome lights, bobbing up and down as if puppeteered by an unknown force. You breathe a sigh of relief. Finally, you're almost at the finish line. All you can think about is the party within and a warm drink to numb your memory of the evening's events. Sounds like a plan. You come to the final stretch of golden stairs, loose pebbles begin to twitch until the ground begins to shake, till it becomes a full-blown rumble. The entire world is shaking around you, and as if to brace herself near you, you realize that this is no illusion. A screech rings through your ears, draconic. It's a dragon. And an amorphous shadow. Some big fucking things in the stairwell. You watch as it takes the shape of a snake. I can't fucking read. Bold of y'all to assume I can read anything. Its giant maw extends towards you and a foul stench fills your nostrils. It rises from the ground, bearing down upon you, smoke billowing from its serrated mouth. Oh, I absolutely thought that said something different. I see you, little creature. I'm not doing a voice. My lungs would kill me if I did. The shadow dragon opens its jaws to impossible proportions, launching towards, ready to eat you. Frita extends her hand in an instant, and a blast of fire brimstone tears through the creature, ripping its manifestation asunder. What? The ground ceases to rumble and shake. Everything is suddenly still. You stand with Frita, your eyes wide and your body shaking violently. That was... awesome. You're good. Yeah. Big mood. Skirting death seems to be one of your major skills, or maybe it's just blind luck. Your body tingles with adrenaline until you feel like you are sparking at the edges. Frita laughs and you can feel the genuine warmth radiating from her. Or maybe it's just the residue of her spell. I'll admit, this evening exceeded my expectations too. She presses her index finger to her smiling lips. But don't tell San I said that. Gazing at her grin, you realize that you've seen a new part of the Empress. She seems more real than she has before.
And I love her for it.
Oh shit, where the... She just shows up. Alright. Sup, dude? Han appears from the smoke that once was the dragon that threatened your life. Sup? Our honored guest over... Hey! Ignore that. You... Oh shit. I hit the wrong button. You waited for it to get up, dusting the dirt off your clothes as San approaches with a smile wide on his face. Tell me, how was it? Were you terrified? Were you thrilled? He's like, were you scared? Truly, I did yourself as Were you scared? Tell me everything. Ifrita raises her hand, interrupting him. I would be delighted if we tell my little adventure with a Valky, but first I need several drinks. Agreed. San sighs, but his smile remains on his face. He looks to you, a brow raised inquisitively. What did you think of tonight? What was your favorite part? The costumes were super cute. The champions' costumes, they outdid themselves. Yes, well, they are a creative group. Even Nora, I suppose. Yes, even her. Of course. And I, too, am proud of my many accomplishments tonight. My maze was fantastic. Yes, it was. And well done to you as well, Voki, for being able to find your way through it. Too much talking, not enough drinking. Agreed, the party's just beginning. You've hardly missed a thing. Ifrita moves to follow Sun back into the palace, the sound of music rushing out as the high priest pushes past the door. However, Ifrita stops before she enters the door. Thank you, Voki, truly. I haven't had this much fun in a long time.
Ah, you're very welcome.
I misjudged you, my petitioner. I thought that you would be someone I needed to drag around by the nose to accomplish anything. I've had centuries of pulling people the directions I want them to go, but perhaps there are better motivators than fear. I thought that I needed to control you just as I hold tight control of everything else in my life. But I realized the fault of my actions. I hope that tonight was a fresh start for the both of us. She's really pretty. I like the sound of a fresh start between us. You feel the warmth of her body engulf you as she pulls you. Yes, her! When she steps away from you, she smiles softly. Seeing Ifrita tonight with her free laughter and a strong will puts the Empress in a different light for you. You'd better go. I'm still craving a drink. You watch Ifrita make her way into the palace until you're ready to join the others inside. Music blares through the air mixed with sounds of chatter as people dance together dressed in intricate costumes of magnificent beasts. Glasses clink together, and people laugh in the distance. You observe the crowd and try to find someone you know. To your luck, you see a handful of familiar faces. Anka! You approach Anka, thankful to have her comforting presence after that terrifying night. She immediately notices you, her excitement showing through red cheeks as she gestures you towards her. I'm so glad to see you made it out of the maze. It certainly was a fun one. Glad you made it out all right yourself. Well, that's not to say I didn't get lost a lot. She laughs at herself and then guides you to a cushy couch tucked away from the crowds and noise. Anka begins to tell you about everything she had done that day, every story enthralling as she gestures, shouts, and giggles through her words. Your mind is soon bogged down with exhaustion, making it hard to focus, but you listen intently as she tells you about the mythical and real earth creatures she read about recently. Her interest in that faraway blue orb knows no bounds, and you find yourself dragged in as well, your chin placed in your palms attentively. Earth has among the most diverse ecosystems in the Milky Way galaxy. Wouldn't you love to visit? Earth sounds like a beautiful place. It ain't. If only it weren't a galaxy away, I would be there every weekend living it up with the fun. Living it up with the humans. Cool. You talk to Anka till she yawns loudly and bids you good night, and you retire to your own room. No, I want to go back and read everybody's first.
Ah,
Let's go. I'm doing everybody first. Now, Volley. As you expected, Valerio is soaking up the limelight, looking right at home, entertaining a group of people. As soon as he spots you, he leaves the group he was cracking jokes to without so much as a dismissal, leaving them confused. Bye! Glad to see you made it back in one piece. You and Zan outdid yourselves at this year's Mason party. Molly holds out a glass to you. Take the drink. You drink from the glass, feeling your worries melt away as brandy warms your body. What the fuck? Oh shit, it's my cat. You scared the fuck out of me, sweetie. Holy crap, you okay? Alright, my cat scared me more than the maze did, I'm gonna be real. It went great. You know me. Everything I touch is perfection. Your voice drips with sarcasm, but Volley doesn't react. His right ear twitching as he thinks. That was sarcasm. Ah, yes. You give a good-natured laugh. Volley blushes and grins, his little fangs poking out. He's fully aware that his idiosyncrasy... Yes, they are. I know the word, I can't say it, don't judge me. While he extends his light and... I should just stop reading. Come on, I have something to show you. You take his hand, his grip firm but tender. He leads you to your bedroom and out to the balcony that overlooks the sprawling lights of the city. The music of voices fade in the background as you step outside. You're greeted by the peaceful whispering of the wind. The melody is shaking wind chimes, despite the light pollution. A few clusters of stars dot across the night sky. Not as great as stargazing out on the countryside, but look at those constellations. While he points to the sky, his eyes bright, filled with a passionate curiosity for the world around him. He guides you to a bench at the end of the balcony, patting the spot beside him. You sit and point out stars to him, and Folly is ready with a story for each and every one. You're not sure if he's making up the stories on the spot or if they are actual legends of the stars, but you decide it doesn't matter. The tales of adventure and triumph, as well as dismay and conflict, are carefully intertwined into the perfect tales to wind down your evening. You talk the night away about a variety of topics, Folly listening intently to you. You speak of your interests and passions until you both begin to fall asleep on the balcony bench. Ah! Find yourself resting your head in Molly's lap, and his fingers lazily rugged along her scalp. He hums a soft tune, the sound dancing upon the wind. You smile and close your eyes. His touch lulling you into dreams of you and Folly exploring the Tapton Galaxy together. The first peaceful dream you've had in weeks. Ah, that's so cute! Fuck! Go back. We're going back. We're going back. Oh, that's cute though! You think you see Alibaba's distinctive hordes of the crown, but just when you think you're heading in the right direction, he disappears to another corner of the room. Sighing, you abandon your search. You wander around the throne room until you grow tired of the crowd, decide to return to your room. Entering inside, you notice that the room has already been lit. You look around and see the shape of Loto lounging on your bed. He holds a wine bottle in his hand, taking a long swig before checking it out. The gaps in your window. Yeet! Okay. Crash of glass breaking sounds in the gardens below, and a group of women in the distance scream at the noise and break into drunken laughter. Alibaba smiles behind the mask and makes no effort to get off your bed. So, I read this ask before I played this about Alibaba drinking like wine through the bottle, and someone brought up how he can't take off his mask, so they just goes through the grates, and he just tries his best. So basically, you have Mr. 6 foot fucking whatever lounging on your bed in a crow costume, just shoving wine onto his face. It's now dripped onto him, and he yeets the bottle out the goddamn window. And y'all call him the suave motherfucker of the group? Yeah, no, he's more of a fool than the rest of us. I'm not a big fan of crowds, but I do enjoy music. Your room is away from the people, but close to the songs. I was looking for you. Congratulations, you found me. What will you do with me now? Several things come to mind. I'm not allowed to say any of them. Instead, you let them linger as you take a seat beside him and pointedly stare out into the courtyard. I don't know. Ah, but I really do think you have some ideas. I already said. You swallow a shout as he jumps into single fluid motion, grabbing your hand to pull you up with him. He pulls you against him and positions your hand on his shoulder. One of them was asking me for dance. Don't you agree? You have the troubling feeling that he knows all of the thoughts in your head. That is very terrifying, and plans to use them to tease you whenever the mood strikes him. Nevertheless, you allow him to lead you in a dance to the sound of the music that thumps up from the floor beneath you. Slowly, you are lulled into a sense of intoxicated contentment as you dance. Every stress and worry melts away, leaving you only with a fuzzy butterfly sensation in your gut. You sigh happily, resting your head against Alibaba's shoulder. His tail wraps around your leg. Ah! A gesture you've come to know as one of pure affection. You spend the rest of the night dancing in silence, enjoying Alibaba's quiet presence. Eventually, you and Alibaba collapse onto the bed in exhaustion. You curl up, kick off your boots, and wrap a blanket around yourself. Alibaba folds his hands over his chest and closes his eyes, his feet hanging off the edge of the bed. When you fall asleep, your dreams are of you and Alibaba joining a dance competition and taking the gold home. The first peaceful dream you've had in weeks. Alright, nope, we're going back. Ignore my vicious clicking. You approach Noor, who stands off to the side of the crowd towards the wall. She's still wearing her silly costume, but you can tell she's smiling when you approach. Mind if I join you? Not at all. I have always enjoyed your company. Would you like a drink? Before you can reply, Noor sticks her hand out from under her costume and offers you a glass. You nod and take the glass, taking a long sip. The brandy warms your insides, making you feel pleasantly tingly. Nora presses herself against the wall. The seats in the room are taken. You bet her feet are as sore as yours from all the running. You sit down on the floor looking up at Nora in a silent offer to join you. No one seems to pay the two of you any mind. Nora snorts in amusement, sliding down from the wall. You're the strangest person I've ever met. Well, there's Olibaba and Volley, but you're up there too. I'm not that weird. I'm not as weird as they are. No. I'd say you're more of a mystery than I am. I'm okay. Nora laughs pleasantly at your remark. Your mind is soon bogged down with exhaustion from your day, and your thoughts hide you in silence, but you feel no need to speak. Despite the crowd of people around you, no one interrupts you and Nora. A bubble of quiet forms around you both, and you wonder if your magic has begun leaking out to shield you and Nora from the world. The silence is comforting, and you are thankful Nora's there beside you. You turn to speak to her and realize that her eyes are shut. You hear, "Ah, she fell asleep." That's cute. You decide to let Nora sleep. If anyone deserves a peaceful rest, it was her. As if sensing your attention on her, she huffs softly and shifts until she's resting against your side. Eventually, the night rolls to an end, and Nora wakes up to diligently walk you to your quarters. She lingers at your door, peering at you from beneath the clumsily cut eye holes in her costume. I had a good night. Thank you, Avaki. You fall asleep as soon as your head hits your pillow. You dream of the gardens, of Nora sitting with a basket of brightly colored flowers with a smile that encourages you to join her. You sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks. Alright, so we're going to go back, and we're actually going to do Anka, because I had been worried that would be the end of it. So I didn't want to go further. So we're going to go back and finish this one. Ignore the loud clicking. I missed it. You talk to Anka until she yawns loudly and bids you a good night, and you retire to your own room. You dream of an exciting voyage in Earth's Pacific Ocean. Anka by your side. You sleep peacefully for the first time in weeks. Okay, so I didn't miss much, but I wanted to make sure. We're going back. San. You think you saw Zan among the crowd, but he disappears as you head in his direction. Giving up your search, you return to the party. After you try one of each of the tiny fancy foods they are serving, you decide no one would mind if you retired early. As you enter your room, you're caught off guard by the sound of someone singing outside your window. As you peer down in the courtyard below, you see Zan is serving an unseen audience, wine in hand. That's right, he's a good singer. I remember that. Yelling down, "What the fuck you doing?" He looks up at you and without a break switches to a song directed at you, comparing you to as many cliches as he can, which is probably going to take all night if he sings everyone. He's drunk. I don't have my mouse showing on the recording for a reason, but look at his little tongue. you You laugh as the song ends, amused by his attempt to impress you. He really is the sort for grand gestures. Well, that was certainly unexpected. Zan finishes his glass of wine, tossing it into the garden behind him. Once again, I repeat. Yeet! But impressive enough to let me join you for the night? You still remember the first time Zan had been in your room. His vague and overt threats had left a sting that you aren't sure you can forgive. He sees to have read your expression, even from this distance, and a frown sets into his drunken face. I owe you an apology, Avoki. I'm not one for mistakes, but I did not approach you as a friend on our first meet. Sure as fuck did that. And yet you have so easily been one to me tonight. He sounds drunk, but also sincere. May I come up? Yeah. Oh, look at his costume. He's so pretty. If you can make your way up the vines, I'll consider it. Son accepts your challenge, touching the thick vines wrapping around the balcony and climbing up with an easy grace. It's obvious he's done it before. As he climbs over the edge, he grins at you triumphantly. Well, fine, I'll allow it. You and San sit at the edge of your bed, swapping stories and learning a bit more about each other. You learn San once challenged Nord to a duel, one of the few duels he ever lost. Since then, he's always been quite impressed by her, if a little intimidated. Good. You also learn that Zan has a passion for all things musical, from singing to playing instruments to writing lyrics. You reveal facts about yourself in turn, things you don't usually tell others. Zan listens intensely to Listen, you ask Avagi what they like, they're going to talk to you for like 3 hours about boats. So there you go. That's what you get. Zan listens intently to everything, so you both start to droop from exhaustion. Zan falls asleep before you, since he had started drinking long before you had even arrived at the party. He sets Zan aside before nestling under the blankets and drifting off to sleep. You dream of playing music with San, his tenor voice coupling your instrument perfectly, and is the first personal dream you've enjoyed in weeks. It had been a good night. Yay! Oh, that was so good! Tried to kill me, but it was so good. I will say though, my cat scared me more than the vase did. I'm sorry, San.